There are some downsides to life in the Everglades. Wildlife must cope with extreme natural events like fires and hurricanes, and adapt to vast changes in seasons, from floods in summer to drought in winter. No creature is better equipped for life on the edge than the American alligator. They've been around longer than the Glades itself. Alligators are perfectly designed for this watery world. Powerful legs and tails are good for swimming. Transparent third eyelids make seeing underwater a cinch. And dark hides camouflage this predator's moves. But don't be fooled. Gators can get around just as easily on land as in water.
Hi everyone, I just wanted to warn you that alligators can run 30 miles per hour in short spurts.
No wonder alligators are known as the keepers of the glades. You might also call them nature's engineers. To stay warm and wet during the dry winter, they dig water holes all over the glades. These oases attract millions of fish, which in turn draw thousands of wading birds, eager to capitalize on the easy pickings. Oddly enough, it's not fish, but something called paraphyton that's at the bottom of the food chain here. You're likely to spot it all over the freshwater glades.
Amazingly, the spongy-looking stuff you see floating around me is where life begins in the freshwater Everglades. It's called paraphyton, which is Greek for near plant. It's a living mass of algae and microorganisms, all powered by the sun. During our wet summer months, paraphyton covers the surface of the Everglades, while during our drier winters, it retains precious water and keeps the ground moist below. But without the right amount of clean water, paraphyton begins to disappear, being replaced by taller vegetation. It's the perfect example of how water quality plays a key role in a healthy Everglades ecosystem. And while you're here, don't be afraid to get to know this important player in the Everglades. Pick it up, feel it, squeeze it, even smell it. It's amazing stuff.
As the river of grass draws closer to Florida Bay, a land unlike anywhere else in America emerges. The mangrove forest, the largest of its kind in North America. Its size is daunting. Nearly 500,000 acres of maze-like islands and impenetrable waterways, stretching more than 100 miles from the 10,000 islands of the Gulf Coast to Florida Bay. Mangroves grow where no other trees will, in the margins between fresh and salt water. They're a terrific barrier to wind and storm erosion, and an even better source of food and shelter for wildlife. Above, mangroves are a nursery for all kinds of water birds. But look underwater, and the real nature of this tangled land is revealed. Mangrove roots are the perfect shelter for young sea life. You might even spot a close relative of the alligator hidden in this dense forest. The American crocodile, one of the park's endangered species. The Everglades is the only place in the world where alligators and crocodiles live side by side.
Young crocodiles thrive along the brackish mangrove coast, where the freshwater of the Everglades meets the saltwater of the ocean. The seasonal pulse of freshwater through the Everglades renders these coastal waters the perfect nursery ground for juveniles. Without the natural distribution and timing of these waters into Florida Bay, most young crocs probably wouldn't survive. Like most things in the Everglades, the survival of these baby crocs depends entirely on getting the right kind of water.
It's not just the right kind of water, but also the protection of the mangroves that crocs rely on.
Okay, that's gonna be the spot, right?
Camouflaged by the trees, they're nearly impossible to spot, except at night when their eyes give them away.
Got him. Weighs 500 grams. Total length is 55.5 centimeters.
American crocodiles are generally more timid than alligators. A closer look reveals some other surprising differences. The easiest way to tell a croc from a gator is its olive green hide and its pointy snout.
I'm just gonna recut some of this goo so it's clear.
Marking crocs will help track their numbers over time. If it survives to adulthood, this youngster will be able to handle saltier water, inevitably making its home in the last stop on the river's great journey southward. Florida Bay. The bay occupies the lower third of Everglades National Park. It averages just 3 feet deep. This water must be very much like the ancient shallow sea that once covered all of South Florida. Just 100,000 years ago, before the last ice age, all of South Florida was submerged beneath a sea like this. Like the mangrove forest, Florida Bay is infused with fresh water from the glades, making it a great feeding ground for marine life. The shallowness of the water allows plenty of sunlight to penetrate the surface, promoting the growth of lush seabeds. Underwater meadows like this become a vast feeding ground for another of the park's endangered species, the manatee. These docile mammals spend most of their days grazing, consuming as much as 10 to 15% of their body weight in seagrass every day. And when food runs short or they get thirsty, manatees willingly migrate inland in search of fresh water, putting these gentle creatures in contact with their only known enemy. Sadly, most manatee powerboat encounters result in scarring or death. But if we protect manatees, we also protect the water that they and all other life here depend on. The future will be a balancing act.